Hi everyone, today I want to talk about a fetus is not innocent. In this video I am going to be sharing some of my personal thoughts and opinions, and others have come from Matt and TAE and from the Atheist Experience crew. In my last video I responded to several questions from an anti-choicer, so I'll leave the link below in case you want to go check it out. And before I begin, I just want to state a few things that I believe. Nobody has an absolute right to life, not even a fetus. Nobody has a right to use the body of another person for his own benefit against the will of the one who is being used, not a rapist, not a fetus. Every person has a right to remove from their body whatever they choose or whatever they consider to be harmful or threatening to their health, their life, or their well-being, be it a tumor or a fetus. And no one has a right to force someone else to risk their life for anything or anyone, not even for a fetus. I will apologize in advance for mispronouncing certain words and medical terms. So let's begin. Something I hear very often is that fetuses are innocent and defenseless, and that they shouldn't be aborted for that reason. Perhaps many conclude that because the fetus is defenseless, that also means it is innocent, but it is not. The definition of defenseless is without defense or protection, having no way to protect yourself from attack or harm. Yes, a fetus is defenseless, but that is not reason enough to not abort it. A scorpion is also defenseless against a human, but that is irrelevant, because the scorpion has the potential of causing you or your family great harm, and you have the right to kill it or remove it from your home. The same applies to a fetus. The definition of innocent is not guilty of a crime or offense, harmless in effect or intention. A fetus is innocent in the sense that it didn't choose to exist, and it obviously doesn't have the intention of causing harm. But it is not innocent in the sense that its existence is causing or can cause great harm to another, even death. You cannot only take into consideration its intention and not take into account the real negative effects that it is having in the life and body of someone else. Also, a woman must consent to the pregnancy the same way she must consent to sex. Otherwise, it is a violation. Fetuses can harm women in innumerable ways. I will just mention a few. For example, many teenagers are kicked out of their homes when their parents find out they're pregnant. Some women are abandoned by their partners, others get fired from their jobs, or they can't even get a job for that reason. And on top of all the emotional and or financial strain, most of them will experience a plethora of physical ailments like nausea, vomiting, fatigue, back pain, constipation, faintness, dizziness, hormonal changes, mood swings, food aversions, heartburn, indigestion, urinary tract infections, hypertension, anemia, gestational diabetes, low immunity levels, etc. Some women need to have total bed rest during pregnancy, which prevents them from performing their normal activities. On top of this, if she gets sick, she has to deal with the symptoms of those ailments without medication, because these can affect the fetus. Some more serious complications can be preeclampsia or eclampsia, and common symptoms are seizures or loss of consciousness. Or she can have placenta abruption, which occurs when the placenta partially or completely separates from the inner wall of the uterus before delivery. This can cause blood clotting problems, failure of the kidneys or other organs, resulting from significant blood loss. And if uterine bleeding cannot be controlled, a hysterectomy may be necessary. She can also have placenta previa, which occurs when the placenta partially or totally covers the woman's cervix and can cause severe, possibly life-threatening bleeding during labor, delivery, or in the first few hours after delivery. Another one is placenta accreta. This occurs when the placenta grows too deeply into the uterine wall. Typically, the placenta detaches from the uterine wall after childbirth. With placenta accreta, part or all of the placenta remains attached. It's also possible for the placenta to invade the muscles of the uterus, placenta increta, or grow through the uterine wall, placenta percreta. Placenta accreta poses a major risk of severe vaginal bleeding after delivery. The bleeding can cause a life-threatening condition that prevents your blood from clotting normally, as well as lung and kidney failure. If the condition is diagnosed during pregnancy, you'll likely need an early C-section delivery, followed by the surgical removal of your uterus. There can also be an ectopic pregnancy. This occurs when a fertilized egg mistakenly implants itself in one of the fallopian tubes or elsewhere outside the womb. The symptoms can be abdominal pain, vaginal bleeding, and in some cases it can also cause the fallopian tube to burst open, which can lead to life-threatening bleeding, and surgery will be needed. Because the embryo won't be able to develop to term, it is necessary to remove it as soon as possible. If they cannot use medication to do this, then a surgeon must remove the embryo and repair any internal damage caused to the woman. As if all of this was not enough, a woman can spend more than 24 hours in labor. The contractions can last from 8 to 12 hours. If she gets the epidural, this can have negative effects on her body and even cause permanent nerve damage. The World Health Organization states that 300,000 women die each year due specifically to complications during pregnancy, labor, or puerperium. That means that 830 women die each and every day. The causes can be hemorrhages, infections, pulmonary embolism, amniotic fluid embolism, obstructed labor, cardiomyopathy, stroke, etc. If the woman survived labor, she has to continue dealing with any issues that arose during pregnancy and has to spend some time in recovery, especially if she had some type of surgery or a C-section, which in some cases can get infected. She can also suffer from postpartum depression, and in extreme cases, she can commit suicide or kill the child. In my video, A Fetus is Like a Thief, I talk about how a fetus acts like a thief. It not only takes from you positive things, but it also gives you negative things. So the harm is double. The fetus is an organism that is taking away, robbing you of, or making you lose vitamins, minerals, space, energy, physical abilities, money, employment, relationships, health, well-being, freedom, etc. And speaking of freedom, there are women that live in countries where abortion is illegal, that have had spontaneous abortions. And when they get to the hospital, they are denied medical services because they assume the abortion was intentional. So they are treated like criminals. And many are charged with murder and can go to prison for up to 50 years for a supposed crime they never fucking committed. Saying that a fetus is innocent is an absolute lie. In countries where abortion is illegal, women are free, quote unquote, as long as they are not pregnant. Because the moment an embryo is present in her body, that woman goes from being free to being property of the state, and she stops having sovereignty over her own body. And now her life and her future are determined by the state and not by her. You cannot call a fetus innocent when by his mere existence, a woman goes from being free to being treated like a slave or property. And when thousands of women are forced to continue with a pregnancy against their will, knowing that this is a form of physical and psychological torture. Everything that I just mentioned is a fraction of all the problems, disorders, aches, pains, complications, and negative effects caused by a pregnancy. Not to mention the ways in which a woman's family or children will be harmed if she dies. All because of this innocent being. I can understand that seeing a fetus as defenseless can cause someone to want to defend or protect it. But in order for you to defend a fetus or protect the innocent, you must first violate the rights of the woman. There is no other way of doing it. You do not have the right to defend the life of one while violating the rights and freedom of another. A woman choosing over her body is not a crime. You violating her rights and her freedom is. Up to this point, the fetus has been seen like the victim, like the only one that is being harmed, like the only one that deserves attention and compassion. But anyone that violates your rights, that causes you physical, mental, emotional, financial, or legal problems, that because of him you were treated like a slave and were tortured, or that was the reason you were unjustly sentenced to 30 years in prison for a crime you never committed, or that was the cause of your death, this being would be considered anything but a victim. Saying that a fetus is innocent is absolute bullshit. In every pregnancy, the fetus is the intruder, therefore the offender. So every woman has a right to remove it from her body. The fetus only has the right to remain in a woman's body as long as she allows it to. If a woman wants to give birth, then the fetus has a right to life because she has given it the right to use her body. If the woman does not want to give birth, then it does not have a right to life because the woman has refused to let it use her body. And she is free to make this choice at any point during the pregnancy, and she doesn't owe anybody any explanations. I have no respect for those that go around violating the rights, the freedom, the will, and the privacy of women with the excuse that they are saving a life they have no fucking business saving. Because if that fetus is not in your body, you have no say over it. It would be like me sticking my hand up someone else's vagina and was trying to hold on to whatever was inside her uterus in order to protect it, and was convinced I had the sick and twisted right to violate a woman in such an abominable way, and that I was completely justified in doing so. If you are against abortion being legal, then that is exactly what you are doing to every woman. And the fact that the mere existence of a fetus would drive people to commit such a horrible act is evidence of how culpable a fetus really is. Okay, everyone, that is it for today. Thank you for listening. Talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye.